Hi everyone, this is Jim Egan, head of school, Synapse School, with a Friday update. First of all, happy Lunar New Year. We're gonna have an assembly in a little bit here at Synapse to all of those in our community, but even more broadly, who happen to be watching this, probably not that big an audience. Happy Lunar New Year. If you're celebrating, I hope things go beautifully and wonderfully for your friends and families as you celebrate the Lunar New Year. Okay, right off the bat, save the date, April 5th. It should be in the newsletter. It's our big spring event. It's an auction, it's a party, and it is a special community event. This year's theme on April 5th is Black, White, and Wild. I don't even know myself what exactly that means, but this year's benefit on that date, April 5th, will be thematic, and the theme is Black, White, and Wild. We have a committee here of parents and some staff who are putting things together for this party. Remember, it's an auction. We're going to be raising money for the school. The funds go directly to our needs here at Synapse, but there'll be dancing, there'll be music, there'll be fun, there will be food. And for those who are new to our school, this benefit, the spring benefit, is definitely more party, less pretense, I would say. It's definitely more, I mean, look at me. It's not that fancy. Although Black, White, and Wild may push us in certain directions, but who knows? So everybody come out, teachers and parents. Sorry, kids, it's not for children, but read the newsletter because there's more on this as well. And speaking of benefits, and fundraising, I don't think we ever announced it. We reached it a while back, 100% participation in this year's annual fund. So everybody from the board to the parents to the teachers, everybody gave 100% participation. We eclipsed our monetary goal as well. I'll probably send out an email to the community about this, but I don't think we ever even announced this broadly. So again, thank you so much for making that happen. We've now done it, I don't know, it's my 13th year, so 13 years in a row here at Synapse, 100% participation, and we've eclipsed the goal we set in terms of funds raised. All right, yeah, there's lots of things going on at school. We've got games and events. We had a middle school social last night. I mean, admissions, again, is thriving and moving forward. We have so many things that we're doing. I was thinking, though, after a conversation I had at my coffee on Thursday around permissive parenting, why this might be happening more with a younger generation of parents. You can read about this online. These are theories. After that conversation, I talked to a few parents, and I've also been having some meetings, and I've just noticed an uptick of anxiety around just raising children in this world today that feels more unstable, I would say. I don't know if it is, but it feels that way. A lot of people feel that. So I was listening to a podcast, and this idea came up around mean world syndrome. You may have heard about this. It's a cognitive bias where people may perceive the world as more dangerous than it is. I used to talk to my father about this a lot recently. He would say, he watches a lot of news, and he would say, the world is so dangerous, and he's back in New York. And this is a few years back. And I would remind him that I was in New York City when I was there, the homicide rates were, unbelievable. Look it up, like late 80s, early 90s, right? And like in the 70s, New York City was bankrupt, right? And like we could go on and on about like what was going on back then when I was growing up. And no one really knew about it. At least I didn't know about it growing up there. And in fact, like the crime numbers are way down compared to when I was a teenager or even a young adult in New York City. But this cognitive bias happens when there's moderate to heavy exposure to media. And this isn't new. This was, this theory was coined, and this phrase was coined by George Gerbner, I think his name is, in the 1970s. And the theory sort of has been sticking for a number of years. So I think for adults, you want to pay attention to what you're paying attention to. That perhaps the intensity of emotions you're feeling around something that's unsafe is really out of bounds with what actually is happening. Sometimes we have kids get hurt on campus, right? I mean, I've talked about it. Like, we have a playground, kids are playing. Kids are going to get hurt on a playground anywhere. To expect that to not happen is not realistic. And when it does happen, if it's minor, some kid falls down, I mean, the ground is wet. I was playing tag with some third graders today. I was worried about sliding, even changed my sneakers before I went and played. It may not be that big a deal. You can fall down, you can get an ice pack, it's okay. And I think this is the case when kids are even having conflicts, right? That they're, let's pull back for a second. What are our biases, right? Maybe they come from our own childhood, and certainly they could be coming from what we're consuming in the media. By and large, statistically, actually the world is a whole lot safer than it was when I was a kid, but it just doesn't feel that way. And what really led me to think about this theory into sort of down the rabbit hole on mean world syndrome, I was, again, thinking about my father. He turned 90 yesterday. And I was reflecting on our conversation. His cognitive abilities are declining rapidly. And so when I called, he even thought I was his brother, Terry. And then he thought I was my younger brother, Bill. And I talked to Bill, and Bill's like, he thought I was Jim. And he called me Terry as well. So they're declining. His short-term memory is rapidly declining. He's 90. But what I've noticed when I talk to him, which is often, he's a whole lot less bitter. He's less anxious. He's less pessimistic. And he's always been a great, funny, jovial, cracking joke type guy. Always joking. But he isn't able to retain any of the news he's watching, right? He doesn't know who the president is right now. And he seems to be a whole lot just warmer. His language towards me has just been more loving than it has been since I was a child. And I wonder if it's because the media he's consuming isn't sticking due to his cognitive decline. And therefore, he's not feeling that mean world syndrome. I don't know. It's a funny hypothesis, but it leads me to think about, what are we consuming? We have control of that. And so just like little kids, right? Little kids are optimistic by design. They definitely are developmentally going to be more optimistic than even adolescents, middle school kids, because they don't see the world as complex yet. They haven't had enough experiences. But they have less exposure to negativity at that age, right? They are often in positive social environments with loving parents and loving teachers like here. And they're always focusing on the present and in exploration mode as well. So adults sometimes say, well, the world's not, the world's complex and there's issues. And that's very appropriate for an adult to think. However, adults, you can pay attention to what you're paying attention to. You can expose yourself less to negativity. You can provide yourself with positive social environments. You can do it. And you can work on focusing on the present. That's what a kindergartner is doing. That's what a TKer is doing. That's what an 8th grader is doing. That's what an 8-year-old's doing. We can do that, even though developmentally we're too far along down the road. So that's my advice. Don't expose yourself to so much negativity. Positive social environments and interactions with humans in 3D. And focus on the present as much as you can, because when you focus on the present, it's pretty great, I think. And if you need to, you can also put on rose tinted glasses like these ones. Okay, everybody, happy Lunar New Year. Have a super weekend. See you next week.